Okay, so real quick before I start this video, I just wanted to put a trigger warning out there for anybody who suffers from depression, anxiety, any of that kind of stuff. This video will trigger you. There's also talk of suicide. And yeah, so let's get to the video.
Hey guys, what's up? It's me. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not in my room today. Today, we're outside, just chilling in the field next to a tree. And that's because I wanted to tell a story, but there are like 6 children in my household right now, and it's not a very happy-go-lucky story. So I figured I would just leave, and it's really chilly outside, so I brought a blanket, but I'm kind of also using the blanket as a tripod, so I guess we'll see how this goes. So yeah, I felt like I needed to tell this story because there's not very, well, honestly, I need to tell this story for myself. Like, I just need to get it off my chest. I need to stop harboring it and just, you know, let it be out there in the world and all that kind of stuff. Also, I feel like by telling it, it'll help me and other people who are going through a similar situation. So yeah, that's why we're here in the cold. And I thought I would be ironic and wear a shirt. The shirt kind of gives a little preface of what the story is going to be about. It says, I feel like 2007 Britney. So basically this video is about the mental breakdown that made me realize that I couldn't be in college anymore. If I start crying, I'll try to edit it out, but if I'm like talking while I'm crying, you're just gonna have to deal with it, and I'm really sorry in advance. But yeah, so I don't know, to start off the story, growing up, I was always stressed about school and trying to be the perfect student and get the perfect grades and all that kind of stuff, and I don't know, it was mostly my fault, just because I always wanted to be the best and show that I was the best, like just so that people would be proud of me and that's so I could be proud of me. And that kind of continued along into college, which wasn't a good thing. I'm sorry I'm yawning so much of this. I just got off of work. So I've been up since like 1:45 in the morning, and it's like, what time is it? It's 4:13 right now, so I've been up for a good little bit. So I brought that like kind of stressful mentality into college with me. And like college, it started out fine, like it was good, I was doing good in my classes, like I was focused in all this, and you know, I did great my freshman year. Well, not great, I had issues my freshman year, but academics wise I did great. So then we fast forward to sophomore year, and that's where it kind of got tricky. I mean, the summer before my sophomore year of college, I went and had my first job. Like, I lived on my own, paid my own rent and all that kind of stuff, and like having that freedom just to do whatever I wanted to do, I think kind of got to me. Not in a bad way or anything like that, but it made me realize that like school isn't what I wanted to do, but instead something that I was doing so that I could do what I want to do. And so yeah, so when I went back to school, I don't know, like freshman year, I skipped a couple of classes, I overslept for a couple of classes, like I had many breakdowns, like a lot of panic attacks, a lot of anxiety attacks, and all that kind of stuff. So like going into sophomore year, I knew that it was going to be more stressful because it was like higher level classes and all that kind of stuff. So I went in knowing that I was going to be stressed, and I think knowing that I was going to be stressed me out a lot more than I should have been. And on top of that, like, it was sophomore year, like, I was getting my associate's degree at the end of the year, and like doing internships and finally being able to call myself a baker. So yeah, so I started off that year stressed already. So first term at my school, we do 3 terms. So first term I had, I believe, labs and academics. So I had academic classes, and then I had to make up the labs that I had missed from oversleeping. So I did that, and it wasn't too bad, just because I knew that I needed to push myself and all that kind of stuff, so that was fine. And then for my second term, I went on my internship, and my internship didn't go so great. I came down here to this town that I'm in now, and I worked at a place, I'm just gonna say the name of it because fuck it. I worked at this place called Two Sisters Bakery and Deli, and like, it started out good. Like, I enjoyed the people there and all that kind of stuff, but the further along I got into my internship, the worse it got. So I started out as a baker. My first day, the lady that was supposed to be my teacher, I guess, she handed me a recipe book and an apron and said, here's what you have to make, start. And I wasn't expecting that, especially considering it's such a small, like, business. Like, I thought that she would show me the ropes of, like, what she normally does and all that kind of stuff, but she just threw me into it. So I did what I learned in school. I mise en place everything out. I made sure that I had all the right equipment and all that kind of stuff, and apparently I had taken too long for her. So she told me that instead of working in the bakery, that I would be helping as a prep cook, which I didn't mind because that was what my first job was. My first job was, I worked a station where I shucked oysters to order, I made pizzas, I did kids' fruits and salads and desserts plating all on one station by myself most of the time. And I had to keep that station prepped up along with the AM station, so I wasn't really stressed out about it. But then, like, after hearing her say that, it just kind of, like, put me down and made me feel really shitty about myself. Like, I wasn't good enough, I don't know, I guess. So, I'm not crying, there's pollen in my eyes. But yeah, so after that, that was my first day. The second day, she let me try again. I worked much faster that day, but I still wasn't fast enough for her. So in the mornings after that, I would come in and I would, you know, help her with some of her stuff, like frying donuts, making eggs, and that kind of stuff. And then I would prep all the stuff for the sandwich guy. And it was all fine. Like, it wasn't fine. Like, they treated me like shit. I did a lot of, like, stuff that I shouldn't have done, like blowing the leaves off of their the deck at the restaurant, and a lot of janitorial stuff. And most days I just washed dishes all day, and it was really shitty, but like, I stuck to it because I knew that if I didn't, I would fail my internship, and that would mean that I would have to take a whole nother term for school. So, you know, I stuck to it and all this kind of stuff. And one day I ended up smashing my finger in my fiance's car door, and so I went to the ER. They told me that it was just a crush injury and that I had a big wound on my finger too. So they told me that I didn't need stitches, but that I would have to keep it from getting wet. So while I was at the hospital, the doctor asked me if I wanted a note for work. And at the time, I was also a dishwasher at my last job, which is the same place I did my first job. And so I was like, yeah, I need an excuse from work because I am a dishwasher. Like, if I can't wash dishes, then I'm just gonna need to be out for a couple of days, and I need like a legit reason why, because it's a corporate company. So she gave me the excuse, and she asked me if I wanted another one for my internship. And me being the stupid, naive kid that I am, I was like, no, I don't need an excuse for my internship. Like, it'll be fine. Like, I just needed 2 days off, and I just couldn't get my finger wet, so I could still wear like a finger cot or a glove or whatever. Oh, it's really cold out here. So yeah, I did that, and I took my excuse to work, and then the next day I went to my internship, and it was my day off, so I went in just to let them know, like, hey, I crushed my finger, like, I can't wash dishes, I can't get it wet, I can wear a glove, but they don't want me submerging my hand in water and all that kind of stuff. And the sandwich guy was like, yeah, that's fine, you know, you can continue to do like the prep work for me and all that kind of stuff and just help out around the restaurant, cleaning it and whatnot. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's fine. So I was off that day that I went in to tell them about it, and then I was also off the next day. So the day after that, I think it was a Thursday or Friday. I think it was a Friday. So I went into work like on time, like I always was, like ready to work. And when I came in, they were like, hey, we need an excuse. And I was like, for what? Like, I talked to like the owner, the sandwich guy, and he said that it was fine, like I just can't wash dishes, but I can do everything else. Like, that's what the doctor told me. And the lady that was supposed to be my teacher or mentor or whatever, she was like, no, I need a legit excuse from the doctor. Obviously I didn't make a copy from the one that I gave to my job, so I was like, okay, well, I have to go get one from the hospital. And she was like, okay, well, you can't work until I have an excuse. So I called my fiance, and he came and picked me up, and we went to the hospital. Long story short, the hospital didn't have the same exact excuse saved. Obviously, why would they? So they gave me another one saying that I just couldn't work until like the 3 days were up, so like another day. So like I couldn't get my hand wet for this one more day. And I took it back to my internship, and the baker looked at it and she said, well, this says you'll be out for today. And I said, yeah, I can't submerge my hand into water and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, oh, okay, well, since you can't, you know, do that, you're gonna miss another day of work, which means that you're gonna be behind on your internship, so I'm just gonna let you go. And my camera is dying, so I think I'm just gonna head back and then wait for it to charge and come back later, or maybe I'll just finish the story in a different location. But yeah. Alright guys, I'm back. I'm in the shed right now, which has an open front and back, so it's pretty cold. It's a good 60 degrees outside, not even, maybe. Oh, it's 50 degrees outside. But again, there's still children in my house, and this is a very depressing video, so I'm just gonna finish it outside. But yeah, I guess where I left off was I had just gotten fired from my internship. So at our school, your internship is a grade. So if you get fired from your internship, you automatically fail it. So the first thing I did as soon as I got into the car was was called my intern manager, and I talked to him, and he was like, hey, you know, your mentor or whatever the fuck just told me that she let you go because you're gonna miss too many days with your injury. And I explained to him, like, I was off the past 2 days and I'm only, like, not allowed to wash dishes this one day. And he was like, well, she said that, you know, you've been late every day and that you don't even participate during work, that you're on your phone the whole entire time. Basically a whole bunch of bullshit. And so I told him what was really going down, and that I wasn't even working in the bake shop department, that I was doing prep for the sandwich guy, and that they had me doing janitorial stuff and all that. And he was like, well, why didn't you call me sooner? And you know, long story short, I told him what I told you guys, that I didn't want to lose my internship. And he was like, okay, well, I understand, like, I see your grades, I know that you're a hard worker, you don't miss much class, like, I believe you, all your teachers have, like, given you a great review saying that you're always early to class, if not on time, like, on time. So, he helped me find another internship, and when I went back to Charlotte to finish out my internship, like, I felt like complete shit. I felt like I was worthless. I felt like I didn't know how to do anything. And all because this one person told me that I wasn't fast enough. And as stupid as it sounds, I really let her ruin my life, basically. After I came back, I finished out that internship, and you know, my new chef gave me lots of praise, told me that I was really dedicated and that I was hardworking, and I didn't believe any of it. Like, I still felt like shit. I mean, and even after my internship, I had some more labs and a couple more classes to finish, so I was doing labs and classes again. And even in labs, I would go into class crying, and my chef would try to calm me down, and some days it worked, other days I just held back tears the whole entire class because I just felt like I was useless, like I couldn't do anything right. And yeah, so this mental breakdown, this really bad one, happened while I was in Sugar's class, which was my second to last lab. And come here. Okay, fuck you too, Bean. So basically what happened was I wasn't feeling too good, like, about myself, and I had been staying in my room binge watching Netflix and barely eating. I had picked up smoking and like excessive drinking, and I don't know, it just got bad. And one night I decided that, you know, I was tired of being in my room by myself, and I was tired of feeling like pity for myself. So I got up and I got dressed, and I texted one of my friends. I'm gonna say her real name because maybe I shouldn't. We're gonna give her a nickname because of something that happens later on in the story. Her nickname will be Wolfie. We'll call her Wolfie. So, you know, I texted Wolfie and I was like, hey, do you want to go to dinner at the caf? And Wolfie was like, fuck yeah, you know, I haven't seen you in forever, like, let's just go and catch up. So I met Wolfie at her room, and we walked from our housing down to the other housing on campus where the dining hall was. Oh, excuse me. And we sat in there, and we got food, and she was talking to me about life and her husband, and like all their plans for the summer to move in, to get a new apartment and all this kind of stuff. And then she told me that she found out that she was pregnant. And this is gonna sound really dumb, but ever since something happened to me back freshman year, like summer of freshman year, I have wanted a child since. And it sounds dumb, like, because I was fucking 15, but like ever since then I've wanted to have a kid. Like, I don't know, just seeing like the love that parents have for their kids and vice versa, and like the bond, and you know, just pregnancy as a whole. I so badly like still want that. And I'm only fucking 21, which it sounds fucking insane. But so, you know, she told me that she was pregnant, and I was like getting really excited for her. And then she told me that she wasn't gonna go through with the pregnancy. And I don't know why, but like hearing that like sent me over the edge. It really did. And this is the part where I start to cry. So yeah, we were sitting in the cafe, and you know, she told me that, and which isn't an issue. Like, I get it. Like, I'm pro-choice, not pro-life. Like, if you are not ready to have children, then there's no need for you to go through a pregnancy and just hate life, you know what I mean? So a part of me was like, okay, I get it. Like, I understand, we're in college. Like, you're not ready for that. Y'all are just moving in. Y'all just got married. Like, I get it. But like, that part of me that felt like I was nothing, that part fucking took over. And we're like in the middle of the conversation, and I just started fucking crying into my bowl of food. And she looks at me and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I didn't respond, I didn't nod, I didn't give any gestures or anything like that. And one of my favorite RAs saw that we were eating in the cafe, and he came over and sat down next to me, and he goes, "Kiwi, why are you crying?" And as soon as he said that, I just fucking lost it. At first I was silently crying, like only she had noticed, and he only noticed when he like got next to me and actually saw my face. But after that, I fucking lost it. I started hysterically crying, like loud as shit, in this cafeteria. Like, everybody turned and everybody was looking, and like I was so upset, and then to see everybody staring, it made me feel so embarrassed. And I literally, I got up as quick as possible. I grabbed my plate. I didn't even wipe my face. I grabbed all of my shit. I put my dishes away, and I fucking stormed out of that cafeteria. And I ran up the street, and I ran into downtown Charlotte, or uptown as they call it in Charlotte. And I just ran. And I guess Wolfie had called my other two best friends. I'm gonna say their names. She called Brittany and Debbie, and I wasn't really talking to either of them at the time. So they came searching for me, and they found me at one of the buildings, and this building had a huge parking deck. And so I took off into the parking deck, and I started running away from them. And they were trying to find me for a good 15 minutes before, like, they gave up, because who the fuck is gonna chase after somebody who doesn't want to be found, you know? So after I heard them, like, pull off in their cars, I I zipped my jacket up and I just kept running, and I ran for a good 30 minutes. And I was so far out of Charlotte, like, it was ridiculous. I don't know where I ended up. But I ran, and as soon as I got somewhere where I felt was far enough away, I just sat down and I just continued to cry. And I did that for like a good hour, and nobody knew where I was. Everybody was blowing up my phone trying to find me because they were concerned. And I just turned my phone off. I was like, fuck it all. I just didn't care anymore. And I sat there and cried for a while. And when other people started noticing, like random passerbyers, I got up like everything was fine. I wiped my eyes and I started walking back, and then I realized that I didn't know where I was. So I turned my phone back on and I put my GPS on, and I found my way back to the school. And as I was walking back into the city of Charlotte, I was walking over a bridge on the highway, and I stopped and I stood there for a good 5-10 minutes, just going in my head over whether or not I should jump. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but like, this is how low of a point I was because of stress and because of school and because I just felt like nothing was going right, and like I felt like I was a waste of space. Thank you, Bean. She likes me sometimes. Only when I'm crying. I think it makes her feel better about herself. So yeah, I obviously decided not to, and by this point it was like 7:30, almost 8 o'clock at night, so, and I had labs at 7 o'clock in the morning, so I kept walking back to school. I finally got back to campus around 8:30, 8:45, and I went in my room and I grabbed my pack of cigarettes and I walked around town for a little bit longer, just trying to calm down, and I ended up smoking like half a pack that night. And yeah, I came back home and I called Emilio because Brittany and Debbie had called him, and he was worried, and he had been calling me for a while, and I finally, called him back and I let him know what happened, and he told me that everything was gonna be okay, and I ended up going to bed around like 2 o'clock that morning, and I woke up at 5 and I got ready and I went to class, and I had these huge fucking blisters on the heels of my feet, like literally my entire heel blistered up from walking and running for so long, and it was so painful. And the second, because I normally get to class really early, like at least 30 minutes before class actually starts, so I can have like time to, wake up and relax and get comfortable in my seat and go over the lesson plan and whatnot. And so, I got to class before my chef did, and he looked at me and he goes, "Kiwi, are you okay?" And I looked at him and I said, "No, chef, I'm not okay." And he goes, do you want to go home? I was like, no, I don't want to go home because I'm scared of what I might do if I go home. And he looked at me and he goes, well, if you need to, you can stay after class and we can talk about it. You can bring in whoever you want to talk to about it. And honestly, if it weren't for my chefs and for Emilio and for Brittany and Debbie and Wolfie, I promise you, I would not have made it through that last term of school. I would not be here to this day. I really wouldn't. So I guess the reason why I made this video was to just, I don't know, to let people know that you're not alone. And that if anything in your life is as stressful as this was for me, quit it. If it's a job, if it's a relationship, I mean, if it's anything that takes you to the point of just like feeling like you're nothing, fucking leave it. Like, because it's not worth it. It's not worth making everybody worried. It's not worth stressing yourself out. It's not worth it. And everybody will tell you, oh, you know, just stick it out, like finish it through. But if you feel like you're not gonna make it through, fucking quit. Like, don't do that to yourself. Don't do what I did to myself. Like, it's not worth it. Do I regret doing it? No. But if I had the chance to do it all over again, I promise you I fucking wouldn't do it. I really wouldn't. I would be self-taught. Or I would go to a different school where, I don't know, or maybe I would just wait, but I would not have gone straight to college after high school. I wouldn't have. And I don't know, I get it, like everybody tells you to go to college, give yourself a better opportunity, but college is not for everybody. And especially for people who have high insecurities about themselves, or like can't function on their own, or like, just if school's not for you, don't do it. Like, don't do it to please other people. Don't do it to make your parents happy. Do what is best for you. And college was not what was best for me. It really wasn't. But I fucking made it. And I graduated. And I have an associate's degree that I really fucking deserve, because that shit almost put me in the grave a couple of times. And I don't know. But yeah, that's the story I wanted to tell. That's the reason why I didn't want to tell it in front of the kids, like in the house. And I don't know, I just hope somebody can learn something from this and just be happy. Learn to be happy with yourself. Learn to not care what other people think. And I know it's hard, like I still have issues with it, but I'm working on that, and I'm working on myself, and that's all that fucking matters. I'm gonna go now before I start really crying and get really ugly on this video. Not that I'm already not, I look like a fucking potato, but yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thanks for watching if you watched. Thanks for staying till the end if you stayed till the end. I'm sorry it's so long, but I know that it'll help somebody, and that's all that I can ask for, is to just help people learn from my experiences. Alright, bye guys.